Hola, it's Martin here. I'm currently in Perth, so I can't be in Colombia, I'm sorry, but I made this recording for you. I hope it's watchable. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the goals for the future of the Moodle project and get you up to date with the things we've been doing with some very exciting stuff. But first of all, I want to say hola desde Barcelona because we now have a headquarters for Moodle in Spain, and that means you're going to be hearing a lot more Spanish coming from the Moodle project. Our new headquarters in Spain was well received. This is a tweet from the mayor of Barcelona, and we've had a very lovely welcome there. So we're right in the middle of Barcelona, if you know it. It's a very good location, right on Las Ramblas. And here's some of the crew recently at the opening of the Moodlemoot. Sorry, was at the Moodlemoot, but this was the opening of the office. And we took a few photos. So we're very happy to have a proper new office there. So I just wanted to explain the Moodle World and how that works. So we have the main Moodle company, Moodle Australia, and we've got subsidiaries. One is Moodle Spain, that's the one in Barcelona, and soon there's going to be one in the US, Moodle US. And we also we work closely with our Moodle partners, and we have, about between 80 and 90 of those. Then we have the Moodle developers and the Moodle community. There's many people involved. And then we have the Moodle users as well who participate in the project. So the mission of all of us, the mission of the Moodle project is empowering educators to improve our world. And there's very specific meanings in there. And I wanted to explain why that is our mission and what it means. So first of all, if we look at our world and we look at how humans are treating it, there is some improvement. There's some good things that we're doing. If you look at poverty, only 10% of the world are in poverty now. Look at mortality, is only 4% of children now die before they're 5. In the last 200 years, we've improved basic education, so now there's only 14% of the world getting no education. Now this is still quite a lot, obviously, but it's better. And democracy, we now have about half the world in some form of democracy. Which is a great improvement from 200 years ago when it was about 1%, but still quite a long way to go, I think, for people to have some effect on their own government. Now, if you look at, those are that's the good news. The bad news is that we still have a lot of very big problems to solve, other problems, and some of these are new problems. So these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that have been identified by the UN. And they include things like clean water and sanitation, reducing inequality, taking care of climate, reducing hunger to zero, and pretty obvious good things. And this is like a roadmap for the important things that the world should be working on. These are what will make the world sustainable, not even fantastic, just sustainable. So let's look into some of them. So, inequality, you're no stranger to that in South America, but actually every country in the world has massive and increasing inequality between the rich and the poor. Climate change is a real phenomenon that's becoming worse and has a lot more evidence every day, and yet the amount of work we have going into it is not always as much as it could be. Food and water security is clearly important. We all need to have food and water security, and in the Middle East and in many countries that is not the case. There is food and water can disappear, and we're still having a lot of trouble distributing the food and water that we have in the planet around to everyone. And there are 65 million plus refugees, people who have no country, who have no home, who are roaming the world. And this problem is increasing a lot lately. This is much worse than it's ever been before, and continues to grow. Another big issue, a new one, is data protection. Who owns the data when we're using our phones and our devices? A lot of us are just amazed that they work at all, and we don't really think about all of the private data we're putting in them and how that's being used and monetized by other companies, and sometimes abused and misused. And there is a lot of exploitation going on, a lot of hacking, and some pretty dangerous stuff. It's now possible to completely influence another country across the planet simply by manipulating elections and other things through the internet. We are rapidly automating jobs. We're turning our jobs of throughout industries over to robots, whether they're actual physical robots or just computer programs. And we're not always planning for what happens to those people who've been replaced. And they have to be part of the economy. If there's no jobs, how can they be? And healthcare quality, very variable in some places. For some people, very, very good. For others, very, very bad or non-existent. And that's a terrible inequality around the world in many countries. And lastly, environmental damage is very clearly a massive issue in the Pacific. There are hundreds of kilometre-wide pools of plastic. These plastics are degrading into the water. They're killing the fish. They're killing life all over the place. That's just one example of the kind of damage that's going on. So to solve these kinds of problems, I believe no one government is going to solve them. No one company is going to solve them. It takes a lot of effort from a lot of different people. And so the way you get people motivated to solve the big problems, to get involved and make the world really a better place, you need people who are globally oriented, so they're thinking global. They're aware of multiple cultures. They are multiculturally aware, they're not. They don't think they're better than other people. They're not racist. They're not. They understand that the world is a complex and beautiful place. They have to be environmentalists. They have to care about the environment, not just treat it as something that's separate from themselves. They need to care. They need to actually care about this stuff, and they need to be citizens. They need to be somebody who can take action, who believes in democracy, who has the feeling they can have some action, rather than just saying, "Oh yeah, I care, but I can't do anything." That doesn't help us. So this is what I believe we should be trying to educate. This is the next generation should have as many of these people as we can possibly put together. And to me, that's the job of education. And so number 4 goal in the Sustainable Development Goals is directly about quality education. And quality education is how you build people like this. More than reading and writing, it's got to be people who have a broad education and an understanding. But the education goal actually is one that that affects all of these things. You can't make progress in any of these goals without education. People need to learn, they need to understand, and make change. So that's why we have our mission. Our mission is about empowering educators to improve our world. We want educators to do this work. We want to help those educators. We don't believe that one company in one country can tell the rest of the world how to do it. That's a local issue. And that's a bit of a problem with some Silicon Valley companies, for example, is that they tend to have a very global, they're going to go straight to students that we're going to teach the world. Where I think, and a lot of people think that education should be a much more local thing. It's very contextual, and it needs to be delivered by educators who are local. So we produce those tools, and our vision is to produce the very most effective platform for learning that we can. We want to build the most effective platform. And that means that we'll never really get there. We're always going to be improving it, and it's a moving target, and there's a lot to do. But that's our vision. That's what we want to strive for. We have 5 more things here, which are our values, and the values are what drive the way we do things. So here they are in English and French, because the last time I used this slide was at the French conference. I apologize, but I'm sure you can read it. The first one is about education as a value. We value education just in itself. Any education is a good thing, and every situation contains some education. So it's important to look for the education and try to improve it whenever you can. A second value is about openness. Openness is that whenever we can, we should be open. We're open to ideas. We're open to our code. We're open to different new processes and development. The third one is integrity. And integrity is about doing what you say, saying what you do, and doing that all the time. So in public, in private, having integrity. The fourth one is about respect. Respect for other people around the world, respect for other languages, respect for other ways of doing things, respect for competition. And that's a very important one. And the last one is about innovation. Our value, we really value innovation. Innovation is what always renews and always creates new things. Like a forest growing, you always have new plants growing from the bottom, and as the old plants die off, the new plants are coming up. So innovation is in our company is very important. We try and allow everybody to make new things and have some freedom, and we want everyone who uses the Moodle platform to also have that ability, and that's a real strong reason why Moodle is run as an open source project. But Moodle is at an inflection point. Even though, and you can see here, this is still from the French one, but Colombia actually has 2,900 sites, which is actually one of the highest countries in the world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in the world in registrations. These are the number of sites that we know about, 104,000 institutions around the world with 130 million users. Only people who've pressed the button to register are obviously on this list, and there are many more who are not. But I'm very happy to see Colombia, how many sites have registered, and thank you very much. Because by registering, you give us enough information to actually start understanding who's using Moodle and how, and that we can do a better job. In fact, the country in the world that has the most Moodle sites per population is Andorra, just for your interest. So because we have so many people depending on Moodle, we feel a very strong responsibility to improve. And the past few years, it's been hard to improve Moodle very fast because we didn't have enough resources. So we have partners who are paying for most of that development, but it wasn't enough. We weren't getting enough speed, and to improve at the rate we need to improve, we've been looking around. So it's time to really make Moodle amazing, but how do we do that with our resources? So I've been looking, and I had been looking last year and the year before, for an investor, someone who could help us, someone who matched our values, who could really help us grow. And almost exactly a year ago, we announced a partnership with Education for the Many, which is an organization from France. It's a French family, and they've joined us. They're part of the board, and great people. We've been working with them closely, and they've been really helping us to grow and to get focused and to implement some of the many plans that we had been already developing. So now it's really time to make Moodle amazing, and we can do that more easily. So at the beginning of the year, Moodle, the company, we sat down, a lot of the leaders, and we for a whole week, and we really talked about what it is that we're trying to do. And we narrowed everything down to 8 goals. So these are the 8 goals, not those goals, but these are the 8 goals that Moodle has. So number 1, our first goal, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, is to improve the quality of teaching practice. And this is a very interesting problem. How do you improve the quality of teaching practice? So the first thing that we're doing towards this goal is a new program called Learn Moodle, which consists of 22 modules. This is a curriculum to teach educators how to teach online. And we're working on this now, we're developing it. It will be delivered through Moodle partners later in the year, and you'll be seeing that. But the goal is to help teachers design courses well, to guide learners through those courses, to connect learners so that they learn collaboratively from each other, and to be good at reflecting and improvement, self-improvement. And that forms a cycle where the next course, the next design will be better, and that the teacher becomes a very self-improving, active educator online. The second part to this is that we really want to define what is quality in teaching, and particularly how can we measure Moodle's effect? We can't improve things unless we're measuring it, and so this is an open problem. We have a lot of leads on this and research, but we'd like the community to join in the discussion of how we define quality when it comes to education and teaching. It's a great problem to start thinking about, and you may want to start thinking about it in your own situation. What is quality? How do you know when there is a high quality versus a low quality? So number 2, a second goal is about increasing our reach worldwide. And I already showed the graph with lots of sites worldwide, but we have to get better at acting more international. And the first thing we need to do is talk the languages of the people using Moodle around the world. Now, Moodle has 155 language packs, and Moodle Docs is in 13 languages, which is much better than most software. But we can do that better, and particularly when it comes to our news, our press releases, our social media, it's mostly currently just in English. We're working to make everything in as many languages as we can. Spanish is first, of course, and we've got other major languages as well. We're starting with 6. And so by the end of the year, our goal is that all of our communications comes out in at least 6 languages. You can see where our team is based. This is the Moodle HQ team. A lot of us are in Perth, in Western Australia, but with the new Barcelona office, that's going to be growing very fast. And there's a few other people working remotely around the world. The other way that we want to extend our reach around the world is through partnerships, and partnerships with NGOs and IGOs. These are intergovernmental organizations and non-government organizations. Now, mostly these are development type things. So United Nations, UNESCO, Save the Children, World Vision, and many more. And we're talking with many, we're becoming partners, we're working on joint projects. And this is a big direction for Moodle. A lot of these projects are projects where education is a big piece, where online learning is a big piece. Moodle is useful for those, and sometimes Moodle needs improvement to make them better for a particular situation. And that's where we can come in and help modify the software to make it what's needed. We're also launching a Moodle Foundation this year, and the foundation will focus on driving research around Moodle. So it's going to get more involved with the community research projects, funding opportunities, integrations with other open initiatives and things like that. Eventually it'll be giving scholarships, I hope, to students who are working in the field. So that's another way for us to get involved and extend our reach around the world. So number 3 is about the Moodle company becoming a great place to work. We can't get anything done without a happy team, and a happy team is something that we strive to be. So we are working on a lot of culture issues, and our goal is to measure ourselves every year through the Great Place to Work. So this company surveys all of the staff, and they come up with a score basically of the company. So our goal is to become one of the top 10 great places to work, and we're working hard on that. We're going to get measured every year and show improvement until we really are. So the culture of our own company is very important, and most people are working at Moodle because they believe in the mission and the values, and that's terrific. But we also have to work together really, really well. Number 4, we're maximizing connections within our community. So we have a global community. A lot of the interactions are now on Moodle.org through the Moodle site, through the downloads and the tracker, the development sites, translations, and so on. We also have a Moodle Users Association, which is something you can join, and through your membership you can actually create new projects that will go into Moodle Core, and this is another way you can be involved in the community. Of course, you're at a Moodlemoot right now, so you know about Moodlemoots. We have many of them around the world, and they are great places for us to come together, and a lot of connections get made. People make friends, find projects that are similar, start new projects, and it's very exciting. So we are running more of these Moodlemoots ourselves, and you're also going to start seeing Moodle parties, which are smaller gatherings popping up, and that's just a way for us to get together and share our skills. But we are now creating, those things are what we already have. What we're now creating is a new social media platform for educators. And this will eventually replace the Moodle.org forums, we think. And, excuse me, it's very late at night here. It'll also replace the Moodlemoot app. And this is something that's connected with every Moodle site globally. So you can connect to it with your Moodle site, and you can also connect to it with your phone and other devices. And the point of it is to support the creating and sharing of content and services. So it's a place where you can find other educators who are very similar to you, and you can share content with them, and they can share content with you that is really useful. So if you're a brand new teacher, you can go into MoodleNet, find those teachers like you, and they'll have a lot of really good suggestions and links to content you can use in your course straight away. And so that makes it a lot easier to produce a quality course. So we have here a quick video that shows a prototype of MoodleNet.
Hi, it's Doug Belshaw, MoodleNet.
I'm going to skip through a little bit actually. Oops. Here it is. Sorry, I lost it. Let's try that again.
Hi, it's Doug Belshaw, MoodleNet lead. Your comments on this. This is great. This is exactly what I want for my teaching. So loads of resources here. Oh, and there's related collections as well, other things that I might find useful. This is fantastic. And this is something which the Red Group has collected. So, well, that sounds like a lot.
I don't really have time to show all this right now. So what I do is what I would suggest is I encourage you to go and look at, go and search YouTube and find the MoodleNet Design Sprint. And you can watch this video and you'll see, you'll get a better idea of how we expect it to look and work. And there's more work done. Whoops, sorry. There's more work done since this video was produced that shows more and more details, and especially the Moodle integration. So this is very exciting. It means that you'll be able to be on your phone and be learning as an educator, learning and finding useful things that you can use in your courses. And that should really help a lot of people. So we're working on this slowly. We're trying to do it right. We really want your involvement. If you're interested, go to our website, which I haven't got it here. If you search for MoodleNet, you'll find the website that explains all the details, and you can get involved. Moodle.com/MoodleNet. So number 5, we really want to ensure that Moodle products are always feature competitive. And what that means is that if someone is, a university, for example, is making a tender, they want a particular product that does particular things, we want to make sure that Moodle checks all the boxes and can do those key features. So we've done some work restructuring the open source team. We now have Sonder Bangma is the new open source coordinator, and he's overseeing all the core developers, the integrators, UX testers, and documenters. And having a coordinator here is really helping things to be a lot more organized. Another thing that we're doing is that now developers have responsibilities for particular components in Moodle. So for example, someone is responsible for forum and someone is responsible for the quiz and so on and so on. This ownership by developers means they have more freedom to do things a little faster and better. So Moodle 3.5 was recently released. The #1 headline was the Gdpr Compliance. Now this is a European privacy regulation. You may think it doesn't affect you, but it is very good that Moodle can support this regulation. It means that with better support for privacy, when you do have more privacy regulations in Colombia, and I don't really know actually what exists now, but in general, the trend around the world is that they are that these sorts of rules are coming in. If Moodle supports that, then you already have you already have compliance, and you're able to act in a more privacy conscious way, which is a good thing. There were some other things, question bank tagging, the new Bootstrap 4 is now final, and there's some improvements to the dashboard interface, with more coming in the next release. So here's what the privacy stuff looks like. You can make privacy policies, you can get students to agree to them, students can contact the data protection officer if they want to get a copy of their own data. So there's an interface for that officer, and they can dump data and delete it and send it back to the student and things like that. Now for our future roadmaps, we have a new process. So this is brand new. So every 3 months, we have a product roadmap week where all of the projects and proposals from everywhere, so from internally in Moodle, from our partners, from our big clients, from the Moodle Users Association, from the tracker, from everywhere else, they all get considered in a dedicated week by a dedicated roadmap manager and a large team of people who decide the roadmaps. And with this process, we have a much more open and transparent and clear way of saying what's important and what should be worked on. So I hope you'll find that the things that are coming into each release from now on will be more exciting than ever before. Now last year we released Moodle Mobile 3.4, our app. That had 100% for core features. Moodle Mobile 3.5 has a new interface, and it's looking pretty cool now. If you haven't used the app lately, you might want to check it out because you can do quite a lot of nice things with it. The branded Moodle mobile app is something that we offer at Moodle HQ. So if you want to have a version of the app with your name and branding, with your university or other organization's name, we can make that for you, and we'll update it and maintain it. And you can get that. Come to moodle.com and we'll talk to us about it. We also have a Moodle Desktop App. It's fairly new, and now that runs on Macintosh, Windows, and Linux. And it's just like the app on mobile devices, but runs on your laptop and has all the same features. So you can work offline, you can download all the courses to your laptop. It has a nice simple interface, it's pretty fast, it's pretty nice to use. So goal number 6, we want to improve the services around Moodle, and our job is to connect people who need help with people who give help. So we have some plans for some much stronger support for our partners, our Moodle partners, and our integration partners, and helping them be better and helping them give greater services to people who need them. The other thing we're doing is improving Moodle Cloud and making it a better central service for some types of Moodle sites. And lastly, we're putting more effort into managing very large commercial projects. So if you know, some education projects are whole countries, for example, and things like that. So we're working with our partners to manage those better than we ever have before. In Colombia, formerly there was 2 Moodle partners. You had EduLabs and Moodle Rooms, and you may have heard the news that Moodle Rooms, which is actually part of Blackboard, is no longer a Moodle partner, and that's true as of now. And after September, Blackboard will no longer be even allowed to use the Moodle Rooms name, and so they're going to change the name of their services to something else. The Moodle Rooms name will come back to us at Moodle, and yeah, so that's some news. So the only Moodle partner in Colombia is EduLabs, and I do highly recommend that if you're making choices around Moodle, that you do use Moodle partners, because Moodle partners are certified, they're connected with us at Moodle HQ, and they support us. So a percentage of anything you spend on a service comes back to us and helps us make the software better and do all these things that I'm telling you about. So a little bit of news about Moodle Cloud. We're currently around 25,000 Moodle sites. We focus on free and low cost Moodle. We've recently removed all the ads, and in the near future we're working on some new packages, and particularly an app store where you can buy those packages and add them onto Moodle sites, or add integrations and things like that. Goal number 7, improve how we sell Moodle products and services. Now, in an open source project, you rarely talk about selling, but really what I'm talking about here is about our marketing and just explaining what Moodle is and letting people know what we're doing. So the first thing we're doing is we're improving how we connect users from all these different products and services to the others. So for example, if you just heard about Moodle and you've gone and downloaded the app, there's no information about how to get a site in the app, right? You need a Moodle site to use the app, but if you're looking at the app and it says log in, you don't really know where the Moodle site is. So these are the kind of things we can do to make it a bit clearer about how you proceed. You're going to start seeing us more in conferences, like big education conferences, with a booth and people there to talk about Moodle. So this is more field marketing, and we're going to get a lot better at product marketing and our brand as well. So we've got some new people involved who are working on these things. Lastly, you're going to start seeing Moodle better integrated with other SaaS services on the internet. So you might be using Salesforce or something, and you'll see, there's a Moodle logo in the marketplace there, and you can get an add on a Moodle or connect to a Moodle. So number 8 is really the sum of all of these things. The Moodle project as an open source project has all these other activities that bring in revenue, that sell what we do, that connect what we do, that improves our coding and our roadmaps. All of this is to achieve sustainability at a high level. This is not the high level I'm talking about. We want Moodle to be a bigger thing, right? All of us do. We want Moodle product to be the best for our universities and our schools. And so to get there, we have to have a much bigger team. We have to move faster and better. And we have to produce very, very high quality software that really helps the quality of teaching practice. And these are all the things we're doing, the goals of Moodle to do that. And we want to be sustainable. We don't want to rely on external funding. We want to be generating our own funding from the community. So the community is supporting the open project, directing where the project goes. And, this is ideal, I think, as a project in the world. So we're pretty busy with all these things, and that's why I like to take a little time to tell you about it and then go back to work. So how can you help? I know you're asking, how can I help? Well, the first thing you might want to consider doing is get a branded Moodle app. It's really very easy choice. If you have a university or a large institution or a small institution and you want your students to have the best experience, if you buy a branded Moodle app, they're going to find your name in the app stores, download your app, connect directly into the site, and it's very nice. And we maintain it for you. It's a pretty easy choice. So that's your first way, the first thing I would suggest. If you join the Moodle Users Association, you can help guide the roadmap directly and vote on issues and help fund them. So the Moodle Association, that's the good place to go. If you are doing research, please use Moodle, because Moodle is probably one of the best platforms for education research with the amount of data we have and the rich complexity of data. You can create plugins that do new things and distribute them around the world and get a lot of data. Lastly, you might be interested in our analytics initiative. So we have a research program, a working group, around analytics, and we really love you to be involved. So if you come to research.moodle.net, you can find all the links there. Are you involved in some sort of a grant, a big project? Then include us, just give Moodle a call. We're happy to be involved. Your project will probably be more successful if Moodle was involved. So give us a try. If you need a small, quick Moodle site, come to Moodle Cloud. It's as simple as that. That's why we made it. It's what it's there for. If you need any help, consulting or hosting or any other services, please use a Moodle partner. Moodle partners will help the project. Using providers that are not Moodle partners will not help the project. It's as simple as that. If you've got great ideas about any of these, anything I've said has triggered something, reach out, talk to us. I'll have my contact details on the last slide. And you may even be interested in joining our team. We're looking for new people, skilled people who believe in our mission to join the team and get some of these things done and help achieve these goals. the last thing I want to leave you with here is a phrase, just something to think about, is something I believe. I think supporting open practices is directly one way to support the UN sustainability goals. Open projects are very sustainable, more so than some company models. Some companies, with venture capital funding and all of that, they're here one day and then the next day they're not here. Same with governments. Governments are elected and many of them are not going to be there in 3 or 4 years. And policies change and things change. But open projects and open practices continue for decades or centuries. So they are the best way to support sustainability and the goals that we're looking at here. And lastly, I just want to point out that this, I think, is what we're all trying to do all around the world. If we can make the next generation look like this, then I think we've done a good job, and I hope Moodle helps us do that. So thank you very much. It's again a shame I wasn't in Colombia. Have a nice time. Send my regards, and I'll hopefully come another year. I'll be looking forward to it. In the meantime, if you need to reach out to me, there's my contact details. And ciao, see you later. Bye.